Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. It's Linz. This is a solo episode. Krista and I do solos a few times a month, and this comes at a really interesting, cool, exciting, nerve-wracking time. So I wanted to just capture where I'm at, personally, professionally, around the launch of our book. And I wanted to do a Q&A because it's been a minute since I've answered some of your questions, and I put the call out on Instagram for people to submit questions, and they're juicy. So I want to get to those. But first, if you're new to Almost 30, hello, welcome. I'm so grateful you found us. This is a place where hopefully you feel really supported to learn and grow and be yourself and come as you are. Krista and I started this during a time when it just felt like our life was falling apart, and we thought we should be in a different place than we were in our late 20s. But man, that time was just so purposeful, and that's why we wrote a book about it. So if you haven't picked up our book, now out, it's called Almost 30, A Definitive Guide to a Life You Love, the Next Decade and Beyond. And I'm just so proud of it, and I just hope it is the warmth and support and guidance and remembrance that you need during times of change. So what about the book? What about this process? I just wanted to kind of give the real. I'm sure you've been seeing just everything on social media. I feel like we've done a great job of kind of bringing you into these like really special, powerful moments, whether it's recording our audiobook or, finding our book in Target. And, it's all been so exciting. And truly, I'm like, I kind of have to step back at times and just be like, wow, this is a part of my life that I once dreamed of living, and now we're in it. And so I really have to remind myself to be as present as possible and as celebratory and proud as possible. But, I'll be honest, it's hard in moments because there is such a thing as like the business of writing a book and getting a book out into the world that makes those moments a little bit harder to embody and express. There's a lot of pressure to sell a book, and I trust in the order of things, and I trust in how things want to play out. I try not to control what I can't control, but there have been moments where the pressure has gotten to Krista and myself. Thankfully, we have each other to lean on and just remind each other of what's true. But yeah, I really have to just check myself because I want so desperately for this to be in as many hands as possible. And I also want so desperately not to focus on the numbers and, the New York Times bestseller list and all these like kind of interesting milestones that people or publishers or whatever deem really important. So that's the real of it. It is that juggle and that balance of just like, I want to celebrate. I want to have a friggin' good time, whether it's us going on tour and meeting you and being in bookstores and secretly signing books for you to come get. And I really want to be in the joy of that and the thrill of that. And I don't know if this will ever happen again. And it's hard not to want to like satisfy everyone involved in the process. But it's doing all in all just amazing. And I'm hearing from so many of you who have gotten the book that this already is just such a comfort and a validation of where you are and how powerful you really are in this season of change. So thank you all for that feedback. It does really help. So that is the update there. As a mom in this process, it's been a juggle. I have a really hard time revving up to travel, to leave my son, to entrust other people to watch him and take care of him. It's hard for me. I get very anxious. And I'm sure a lot of moms out there can relate And I think what's really helped me is to remember that when I go and do something for myself that supports my creativity, that supports my impact in the world, I come back a better mom. And I also come back to a son who is perfectly well and great and has had a great time while I'm away. And also, I've come back to those that have taken care of him feeling even more connected and confident taking care of him, namely my husband, whether our moms come in and support. Our nanny, Nicole, has been just an incredible help as well. But I think it's important as primary caregivers to give other people that chance to take care of your child, to really exercise their confidence and knowingness around the care for Mav. So I think it's good for all. It doesn't make it easier in the lead up, but it really is a beautiful practice that I've just pushed myself to lean into, especially over the last year where I've been traveling more and more. But I wanted to get into a Q&A with you all. I kind of opened it up to anything and everything is on the table. It could be personal. It could be about professional. It could be about the book. It could be about, momhood. It could be about anything. And so I wanted to dig into these questions now. All right. So this one is a really good one, and I'm going to be incredibly honest. How do you manage and divide housework/parenting with your spouse? This has been a journey for Sean and I to really get in our flow and get in our acceptance and understanding of one another's capacity, role, ability, what the other one needs as far as support goes. It's a process, okay? And it takes a lot of trial and error. But I have committed to being radically communicative about this in particular. Even if what I'm communicating to my husband sounds crazy, over the top, too much, too little, I want to make sure that I am communicating along the way what I need, what's not working, what I have questions about, what I need clarification on. So, the way in which our dynamic is set up at this moment in time, my husband is the breadwinner. He is working quite a lot, and I'm so thankful. He loves what he does. He's incredibly good at what he does. He's energized by what he does. He does not bring the negativity and stress of work into our home in a way that creates any dysfunction or stress amongst the family. He brings any work discussions into, our home as like a collaborative conversation of what do you think about this? And how can I think about this? Or, I'm kind of feeling this way at work, would love your thoughts and feedback. And so I'm really thankful for that because he's really made it a we. So it's not that Sean is going to work and he is doing it all and supporting the family and it's a lot and it's stressful. Well, that is a true statement. He is not bringing the energy of, a conditionality to the family and to our love and to the time he spends with us. It's he actually articulated it in a text to me earlier, and I feel okay sharing this, but he's on a business trip right now, and he said, thank you for allowing me and supporting me unwaveringly in this season where I'm traveling a lot, because you are allowing me to push for us. And it's always been about us and we. And I actually have had to really get used to that. I think I've supported myself by myself for so long. And so to lean on someone in this way wasn't as natural for me. And I have some guilt and shame around not contributing as much financially. And I've had to really work through that both with my therapist and with him. And I've had to really step into my worth as a mom and a homemaker and curator and nurturer and, all that I do and provide to our family, and how that has equal value to what he provides. So that's been my work. But as he and I have discussed in some hard conversations, that like our parenting, as far as time goes, is not 50-50. So, I get a lot of messages about this from people that, it's hard because, my husband doesn't understand this or that because I'm the primary parent and I spend so much time with them and it's stressful and it's exhausting. And I hear you. To be a primary parent, which means that, the primary parent is spending the majority of the time with the children, most likely because the other partner is working, tending to other things to support the family. It's not easy, and I don't have to go into why that is true. We can assume and know that from our experience. But I've had to get honest with myself about what I really want, because he said to me at one point, do you want this to be 50-50 in terms of how much time we're spending with Mav? And I think there's a part of me that like, ideally, sure, yeah, that's great. That would be amazing. But that's not our reality. And if we want the life that we desire in terms of, where and how we live and what we can provide for our kids and our family and the experiences and the schooling and the this, that, and the other thing, and the way that we give back. And like, if we want that, 50-50 is actually not possible. And how do we properly communicate and ask for what we need and not feel bad about that when the percentage of the time of our time spent with our child is different, and how do we reconcile that? And so, it looks different for everybody, but this is generally how it looks for us. So I'll just give you a peek into what it looks like. So just for example, Sean is on a longer business trip right now. He's away for about 6 days. And before he left, he came home early from work the day before and was able to be with me for, a majority of the day and into the night with Mav and spend time with him. And much of that time was spent not only quality time with me and Mav, but he is doing all of the laundry, folding all of the laundry, cleaning, doing the dishes, asking how he can be helpful in that way, so that my launching off point into a period where I am going to be solo parenting of sorts. I do have Nicole part of the time, but so that I feel supported, so that I feel like I am not weighed down by the like house responsibilities. And he's always been incredible about that. I honestly think he's better at most of those things, folding laundry in particular, than I am. So it's actually, I know it sounds small and silly, but it actually makes such a difference in how I feel going into a solo parenting stretch. And just his thoughtfulness around it, and there's no complaining, there's no, whispering under breath. It's like, I am happy to do this. Let me know what I can do and how I can support you. And he also just makes sure he's spending quality time with both of us, and again, he's not spending as much time as he would want with Mav because he works so much. But when he is with Mav, it is quality time, not on the phone, not watching TV. They're wrestling, they're going outside, they're going to the park, they're playing things. He's jumping into Mav's world. They're playing basketball. They're, like, it's so great. And so that has worked for us, we still have our moments where I can get frustrated about, when he needs to work, whether it's like he does have to dip into work late at night or what have you. But I also have come to understand the different nature of his work versus mine. I own my own business, and so there is some flexibility there and autonomy there. with him, his schedule right now isn't his own entirely. And so he kind of has to be at the ready at most times of the day to jump in, to answer questions, to, kind of move things along. And so I really had to understand that. And that, I just want this to be a reminder for everyone out there in a partnership that, we need to get curious. We need to ask questions about the other's day to day and how they feel they can be best supported and what we can expect from each other during certain seasons at work. Because I think we can get so wrapped up in the experience, our own experience, that we forget that they're also kind of having a tough time. I can get very wrapped up in the fact that I am doing everything right now at home and Mav has been a lot today and I'm exhausted and I was up all night with him. And I can forget that he's also having an experience at work or even like in the home dynamic that I'm not necessarily picking up on because I'm so deep in mine. So it's a constant dance of let's check in with each other. Let's make sure we are sharing honestly about what we need and what's working and what's not. And I think what's really worked for us is having a weekly check-in. So we do tub time on Sundays. We have a tub. We get in our Epsom salt bath and we share the highs, lows of the week, what we're grateful for. We share what's been working, what's not, what we're thankful for in each other and how we've shown up this week and what we need upcoming in the week ahead. And that's been so, so, so important. So yeah, I'm sure this will change and evolve as Mav gets older. And I think boys in particular, from 1 to I believe 6 or 7 are very attached and need their mothers in a very deep, intense way. And then there's that period 6 to 14 or so where it is dad, it is full on dad. That is super important in their development. And I feel lucky to have, Sean, who is just such a dedicated father and, didn't grow up with his dad around all the time. And so he's very cognizant of that and the importance of his presence. So that is kind of how we divide things as of now. I feel like housework is very equally divided and our parenting as far as our time with Mav is not. And that's okay because we have the structure of communication and making sure that the time we spend is quality and the way we support each other in that imbalance creates more balance, if that makes sense. So that is that. Hope that is helpful. I have a new summer obsession, okay? Listen, Elements, lemonade, electrolyte packets are going with me wherever I go. You guys know I'm big on hydration. You guys know I am on my electrolyte game. I have been for years. And especially since I got pregnant with Mav, I've been on it. I never went to the doctor and got my hydration test and failed. I always passed. I was their star student. But Element has everything you want and nothing you don't want. It has potassium, sodium, magnesium, a perfect portion of each, just giving you the electrolytes that you need. It is chef's kiss. It is just such a game changer when you are hydrating properly. And this lemonade flavor, yeah, okay. It is my favorite summer day. You know what I mean? Lemonade, are you kidding me? Also, I'll put this in an iced tea, an unsweetened iced tea. It is freaking phenomenal. What I love most is that it keeps me energized and hydrated without the crash you get from traditional sports drinks that are so sugary and gross. It's clean, it's simple, and honestly, it just makes me feel good. All my friends are on it. My family's on it. My husband loves it. Right now, Element is offering you a free sample pack with any purchase. That's 8 single serving packets free with any Element order. Just go to drinkelement.com/almost30 to grab yours. That's drinklmnt.com/almost30. And seriously, try the lemonade. Okay, on to the next question. Is there anything you would like to do differently if you have another child? I think of this often. I think I'm doing a damn good job, I have to say. And I don't know the answer to that yet, though I think the answer is yes. There are things that I can touch on. But what I do know is that every child is different. And I can assume, based on every single one of my friends who has more than one child, is that no two kids are the same. And it's actually shocking how different they can be. So I can say what I would do differently now, but I just don't know for sure because I haven't met my second child yet and I haven't gotten to know them. And I just think that's really important to say. What I will consider doing differently the second time around is first around sleep. This has been a topic of conversation for me for a long time. What I do know is that I will not take the traditional or like majority route, which is like traditional sleep training. And that's just my own personal preference. I have opinions about it, but I don't have judgment about it. I honestly think every family should do what is best for them and for their children. I do think that we need to tune into our children rather than just do the thing that everyone else is doing. And sometimes it works and sometimes it absolutely doesn't. And we continue to force because we think they should respond to something like sleep training. So for me, it's about tuning into the child. I will say that Mav being my first, because I was navigating something that was so unknown to me, I was wavering a lot, so there was a 4-month period where we brought him into the bed. And then there was a period where he was, 2 to 4 months, he was sleeping through the night and it was amazing. 4 to 13 months, it was a wild, wild west. I never knew what I was going to get. Somewhere in there, we had that 4-month period of bringing him into the bed halfway through the night. And so there wasn't a lot of consistency. And, there's a part of me says that that's okay. They're changing so much, developing in so many different ways, getting teeth. It's wild. And I do think kids thrive off of consistency for certain things. And so whatever route I choose for the second, I would love to, knowing that this is temporary and knowing what I know now, I would love to be more consistent. I did find an approach that worked for us through my girl, Lauren at Tiny Stars Sleep. So shout out to Lauren, who I consult with like probably on a quarterly basis now, just checking in, because for me, the sleep conversation, the sleep approach has not been intuitive, actually. There's aspects of it that have, but there's also like a very science, biological base to this that I didn't know a lot about, like the circadian rhythm and just a child's development and what to expect, that I wanted to learn about. And so she's been an incredible resource. She also takes a gentler approach. She doesn't do a full-blown cry it out. It's very gradual and felt really good to me, to Mav, and it's gone really well. So I think I would just be more consistent. But again, got to tune into the child and see what's best for them. And I think second time around, as far as, I think I'll just be a slightly more relaxed mom in the beginning, and I'm excited for that. Just having, one under my belt and having experienced Mav, and obviously knowing that every child is different, but I remember being very anxious, very sensitive in so many ways with Mav, being very, I wouldn't go into certain environments. I wouldn't hand him off to just anyone. And let me just say that that is totally normal. And that is a mother's instinct and protection. And while I will still be doing that to a capacity, I won't let the fear be driving my decisions, if that makes sense. I want it to come from an intuitive place of knowing rather than this feeling of fear. So that's something I'll be more mindful of. That's something I will definitely do differently. And then last, I think with food, I think I'll just take my time a little bit more. I was a little gung ho right at 6 months, and not to say that I won't start food at that time, but I was like trying to feed him 3 meals at 6 months. Like that's totally not necessary. He was still breastfeeding. He was totally fine, getting his nutrients, but I was kind of taking it like too far before he was ready. And so I just think taking my time with food, being really like laid back, having fun with it, letting him explore and play. And I think I'll also be a little bit more comfortable introducing aspects of baby-led weaning instead of just purees. I definitely will do a mix, but based on what I know now, I've educated myself quite a bit around that, and just seeing Mav develop and do what he does, and knowing more about the odds of choking and the gag reflex and all the things around that, which can just gave me so much anxiety. I think I'll be a little bit more lax and trusting of kind of what he can handle. So that'll be interesting with number two. So that's what I would do differently second time around. Okay. Let me see these other questions. Okay. So someone asked, can you give us a day in the life of your life right now with everything happening? So everything that's happening is mainly the book, the promotion, the tour, interviewing about the book all the time, and also, momming and being with my family and just that whole dance. So let's give you a peek into the life of maybe a weekday. I will say, so I have support. I have our nanny, Nicole, Monday through Thursdays, 8 to 6 p.m. She's been with us since Mav was 6 weeks. I had to jump into work at 6 weeks postpartum, finishing the book. Not something I wanted to do necessarily at that point, but it was something I had to do. And looking back, I'm grateful because they have a bond now that is just so incredible, and I trust her implicitly. So she is with us 8 to 6, Monday through Thursday. And what's really cool about our relationship is that we can tag team. She's not someone who's like, hey, I don't want the mom around, I want to do my own thing. We really tag team with Mav and help one another for a good part of the day. I would say like majority of the morning, and then the evening where, I'm prepping dinner or playing with him and she's helping, clean up. And it's really so much of this is teamwork and collaboration. And that's my preference. I want to be with my son as much as possible, as much as, the workflow of the day allows. And so I just really am thankful for that dynamic. So, I'm getting up around 7. I get up with Mav. Maybe I'll get up earlier eventually, but I really am just taking all the sleep I can get. And I'll go into his room, I'll wake him, or he has already woken up, and I love, one of my favorite things is just taking him out of the crib and he'll lay on my chest in the rocking chair, and we'll just look out the window and just have our like quiet moment of the day and connection point. And yeah, I just love it. It's like the sweetest thing. I know it won't always be that way. So that's one of my favorite moments. And quickly I hear him say smoothie, and we go off to create a smoothie together. So we do smoothie, I make breakfast for him, and we sit and have breakfast. And eventually Nicole arrives, and kind of jump into playing and cleaning up and just kind of getting ready for the day. And he'll get dressed, and eventually they will leave, say around 10 a.m. and, have a good chunk of the day out playing with friends and in parks and activities and classes. And I jump into my workday. And generally that workday will first involve moving my body in some way. That's kind of how I set the tone. So I get a workout in, go to the gym or go to a class or do an at-home workout. And then I'm able to jump into whether it's, a virtual interview at home for the book. Maybe I'm recording a solo episode for the podcast at home. Sometimes I have podcasts in the city that I do for the Almost 30 podcast. It just depends. Every day is honestly a bit different. So, I kind of have to be agile in that way. Generally, I'll take calls for Almost 30, the business, Monday through Wednesday. And so that's meeting with the team, that's meeting with brands, that could be meeting with, any publisher or our agent. It's really a grab bag. You never quite know, but I reserve calls for those days. I really try to make sure that there's enough time in between things so that I can get a little bit of blank space, so I can feed myself, so I can clean up, so I can do dishes, do laundry. I take pride in just having a home that feels really supportive and clean and warm. And I love that. That is something that I enjoy doing. And so that's probably what I'm doing in between work. I make it a point to get outside at some point in the day. That's very important to me. So I take a walk, and normally I multitask and go on my errands. I'll go to the butcher, I'll go to the fish market, I'll go to the grocery store. I'm carrying a bunch of bags. I'm getting kind of a pseudo workout in, getting my steps in. So that always feels good. And I generally get that done in the afternoon. And then by around 4:35, I am like really back in mom mode, and I am prepping dinner for Mav. I am cleaning up. I'm preparing for him to come home. And once he's home, I'm in Mav's world. Everything else stops, and we're playing, we're prepping for dinner, we're having dinner together. It's some of my favorite time. He tells me about the day, who he saw that day. And I really want this to become like a ritual that we have as a family, where we're able to kind of come together at the end of the day. And, he can't communicate at length, but eventually he will, and be able to share, what he did today, how he felt today, who he saw today, what he learned today. So I think the earlier, the better that we start those rituals and those gatherings, I think the better. He goes down around between 7 and 7:30. And after that, I am generally feeding myself and my husband. My husband probably gets home around 6:30 on a night that he's not working late. And we sit down and have dinner ourselves. We catch up on the day. And then generally he'll have some more work to do. We might watch a show to kind of wind down, and then he'll do work, and I'll go take a shower. I will take my damn time, do my skincare, just relax and wind down. I'll do red light. I will read. I will put legs up on the wall. Just really indulgent, mommy self-care. So, I will generally get to bed around 10 on average. And we never know if we're going to get up in the middle of the night. We've been on a good stretch with sleep, but hey, you never quite know. So I try to get to bed around 10. So that is typically a day in the life. Again, every day is a little bit different. So. Okay, we have to talk about gut health. I know you're like, I've been hearing about it a lot because it's important. It's about, more than just digestion. Your gut is basically the command center for your whole body, mood, immunity, energy. It all starts there. So if you're experiencing symptoms, related to mood or immunity or energy, we have to be looking at the gut as well, if not first. That's why I swear by Just Thrive's probiotic. It's spore-based, which means it actually survives your stomach acid and gets to where it needs to go. A lot of probiotics out there die before they even reach your gut, but not this one. I've been doing it daily. I've been using it daily, and I've noticed just way less bloating, way more energy, and just like a better overall feeling. My skin looks great, and it's such an easy, small habit that really stacks up over time. Plus, Just Thrive is backed by real science, so you're not wasting your time or money. Visit justthrivehealth.com and save 20% on your first 90-day bottle of Just Thrive probiotic with promo code ALMOST30. Don't forget to check out all of their other natural, clinically proven products too, like their newest product, Digestive Bitters, Focus and Memory, Gluten Away, and more. That's justthrivehealth.com. Promo code is ALMOST30. All right, I'm going to answer one more really quick question. Thank you so much for these. I've had a blast answering. Someone asked about skincare. So let's talk about it really, really quick. As you all know, I've been on this journey of I gave up Botox right before getting pregnant, and I have not done it in 2.5 years. And it's been just a really cool journey of like, one, embracing my skin as it naturally ages, but two, doing things naturally that support, glowing, elastic, healthy, vibrant skin. And I just want to name some things that I feel are making a huge difference. One, hydration. I am making sure that I'm hydrating with water that has minerals, electrolytes in it. And I am probably drinking about 80 ounces of water a day. Yeah, close to 80 to 100. So it's quite a bit of water. I'm making sure that I'm hydrating through my foods, bone broth. I'm also eating a ton of animal protein. I feel like that makes a huge difference in my skin. So ground beef, I'm eating chicken with skin and cartilage, and I'll have bone marrow, wild salmon. I just think all of these really make a difference in my collagen intake and just bringing a lot of life to my skin. Product-wise, I am really obsessed with a few brands right now that I think have products that I trust, love, and that have really worked for me. We have affiliation with Primally Pure through the podcast, but I would be using them regardless. I have been for many years. I really love their plumping serum. I love their soothing cream. I love their mists are incredible, and my skin just absolutely loves these products. I also love, and no affiliation, but just love the brand Linnae Botanicals. Their whole line. It's a very simple step-by-step line, but ooh, just really potent, really pure, just so yummy. Yeah, I think you'll love this brand, and it's a small business, women owned. They're amazing. So I have my flow with skincare products, and then practices. I am taping twice a week, face taping, and cupping 3 times a week. I learned this from Catherine Romine. She's been on the podcast. You can check out her products and guides. She's incredible. Follow her on Instagram. I learn a lot from her. I think cupping has made a considerable difference for me in particular. The taping, yes, for sure, but I'm just like not as consistent as I would love. It's kind of like a chore for me that I have to get into the flow of, but cupping I actually do in the shower. I oil my face and I cup, and it's just phenomenal. And then I would say I'm wearing sunscreen. I wear Linnae's sunscreen every single day. It's important now that I'm getting older, and I do love the sun. And then I'm also just like simplifying, I'm just making sure that like I'm not wearing makeup every day, clogging my pores, all the things. Like I'm just really embracing my natural beauty more. And I think I'm seeing that more out in the world. So it makes it easier. But I do think it's a brain thing. I do think it's a belief thing. It's a neural pathway I want to groove, which is like, I am beautiful as I age. So I know we're not seeing that on social media as much. We're not seeing it in reality TV and movies and TV shows. We see frozen faces, but it is really beautiful to see when I do see it, and I want to embrace that in myself. So that's skincare as of late. And that is all I have time for. I am so thankful for your questions. Thanks for being here. I love these AMAs. I'm going to save some of these to answer in another solo episode and even on my Instagram. So you can follow me at Lindsey Simcik on Instagram, SIMCIK. And you can get our new book, Almost 30, anywhere books are sold online and in person. Your support means the world with the book. Truly, gift this to someone you know. Maybe they're turning 30. Maybe they're moving through a season of change. It will be supportive to anyone. I really appreciate you all. And I will see you on the next episode. Thanks, y'all. Bye.